How to delete a negative item from your credit report in 2026. Now, there are some changes that have occurred let's go step by step. You no longer can submit a CFPB complaint. First, you have to submit your disputes in writing directly to the credit bureaus and give the credit bureaus 45 days to respond. That's the first change. Secondly, when you're disputing an item, whether it be a charge-off, collection, bankruptcy, eviction, tax lien, hard inquiry, you must use a specific USC code and where you want the credit bureaus to investigate this item under because you feel that it's either a violation of your consumer rights or you want to assert your consumer rights. Either way, the credit bureaus have to abide. So, with that being said, you can no longer say, I don't recognize, this is not mine. And handwritten letters, there's no reason to use them because now the credit bureaus have the ability to decipher them using AI and eOscar. So when you are going to have an item disputed so it can be removed, you have to have the basics done, security freeze on your secondary credit bureau accounts, LexisNexis, Clarity, ChexSystems, ARS, G2 Rich Solutions, and several more, which will all be in the description. Have to go online, place your security freeze. There are two that you actually have to mail a request using the forms that they provide from their website. That'll also be in the description. Once the security freeze is in place, let me talk about two additional credit bureaus you need to be aware of. Clarity and Innovus, but specifically Clarity. Clarity was purchased by Experian. So Clarity will have the same identical information that's on your Experian credit report, and they will also have additional information pertaining to if you apply for an online payday loan or if you apply for an online lender for a personal loan. A lot of that information is reported and kept by Clarity. What does this mean? This means you can have all the items removed from TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian and still have credit applications being declined because there are banks and lenders who use Clarity. The biggest credit card user or issuer that uses Clarity will be American Express. If you go to American Express website and it says get a pre-approval, no hard inquiry on your credit report, that's a little misleading. There's no hard inquiry on the big three, Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, but you will have an inquiry on your Clarity credit report. Once you try to open up, a lot of credit unions have now enrolled in Clarity, so when you apply for an online checking account or even a personal loan, Clarity can pop up. So make sure when you are going and creating your dispute letters, make one directly for Clarity. Anything that's on your Experian is on your Clarity credit report. Experian is using Clarity more and more often, as are creditors. And if you're not aware, you can be blindsided. Next, now, when you dispute any negative account, as stated earlier, you have to cite, is it a violation of your consumer rights? Are they reporting something in direct violation? or are you asserting your consumer rights? Well, in the first round, you will be asserting your consumer rights, meaning you're going to use 15 USC 1681I and request that this account be investigated by a human and the information on how this account was verified be supplied to you, typically known as method of verification. Who they contact, did they get a copy of your credit application, did they have a copy of your default judgment, how did they verify this account and the status of this account. Now, this is a wide spectrum on how to delete items. So we're going to take certain items and I'm going to give you fair warning on how to address them. LVNV funding, large third-party debt collector. They buy Capital One's debt, Synovus, Synchrony Bank, a lot of auto loans, defaulted auto loans. LVNV will purchase that debt. Midland Credit will purchase that debt. I'm bringing it up to notify you, those are not debt collectors that you want to dispute directly, because those debt collectors are litigious. Soon as you submit your dispute directly to their headquarters or to their consumer dispute P.O. box, they will review your account. And if they've made 2 or 3 attempts to collect and you haven't responded, you will normally find out you'll be notified with a legal summons from your municipality stating that LVNV or Midland Credit is taking you to court to collect on a debt. If this occurs to you, I have a separate video that'll be out within 3 days after this one. They'll tell you how to address, because those third-party debt collectors a lot of times will purchase debt that when you signed up for that credit card or auto loan, you signed an arbitration agreement. You can assert your arbitration request under that agreement, which will nullify, in most cases, the legal summons for you to pay that debt, because they'll have to take it to arbitration. LVNV and Midland Credit normally do not like it because it's expensive, and many times they will drop the case, but that's a separate video. Now, when you have your secondary credit bureau frozen, you have all your credit reports in front of you, you're going to identify the negative account, circle it in red. So let's go with one of the most popular disputes people like to have removed from their credit report are hard inquiries. Now, I'm going to take you step by step on which should be your focus depending on what is your goal. If you're looking to get a credit card from either Capital One, Citibank, one of the high-end credit cards where you have a large limit, hard inquiries should mandatorily be a focus if you have a lot of them within a short time frame. You're going to dispute them under USC code for permissible purpose. Did you give permission, and do they have proof that you provided permission, either a signature on the credit application or an electronic signature and where you applied online. Now, if you're applying for an auto loan, hard inquiries are not the priority. For auto loan, you want to dispute any late payments with prior auto loans, any repossessions, or collection accounts tied to an auto loan. Then you want to address any collections and charge-offs. Those would be the accounts that you would focus on if you were going to purchase a car. hard inquiries would not be the focus. Now, if you're applying or looking to purchase a home, your disputes should be focused on collections, charge-offs, and any late payments with a previous mortgage or an eviction from a previous resident. Those should be your focus. Understand, when you apply for a home loan, it doesn't matter that that collection is paid off. You can be denied just for having the collection. But we're going to talk about how to take it 2 steps in another video. In some cases where pay for delete to have that collection settled to go to 0 and then follow up with a different dispute strategy to have it removed. But now let's sum it up. If you're going for a credit card, you want to focus on hard inquiries, any late payments on prior credit cards, any charge-off on credit cards, or collection. Those will carry more weight. For auto loan, you want to focus on any late payments on prior auto loans, any repossessions on an auto loan, or any collection accounts on an auto loan. Now, a collection account on an auto loan, people say, well, how can that occur? Many times when a car is repossessed, there will be an outstanding balance that may be sold to a third-party debt collector like LVNV Funding or Midland Credit, and it will show as a collection for your prior auto loan that was defaulted upon. You want to make that a focus to have it removed, because if you're going for an auto loan, you can have a 700 credit score, but if you have an old collection, say it's 2-3 years old, but it's on a car and where it was repossession no longer shows, but the collection shows, that will prevent you from getting the lowest interest rate or even prevent you from getting an auto loan. For a home loan, remember, charge-offs, collections, late payments on mortgages, evictions and foreclosures should be your focus if that is your goal. Because the credit repair strategy that you use is going to be dependent upon the goal in which you're focused. Now, when you have your disputes, your first round, you're asserting your consumer right to a human to investigate, which is 15 USC 1681I. You're going to send that dispute certified mail. If you have a collection with Midland or LVN Funding, or charge-off or collection with Capital One or American Express, understand, as soon as that dispute letter hits the credit bureaus, they're going to notify those debt collectors and creditors. And if you answer the telephone from American Express, Capital One, LVNV, or Midland Credit, your recorded call will be used to validate that account, making it harder to remove. Now, when you are creating your dispute letters, I recommend you research each creditor or collection company to make sure you don't walk into a trap. What is a trap? Once you submit your dispute, the creditor or debt collector may sue you, but you can always Google, just put their name of that debt collector or creditor and civil lawsuits for consumer debt, and you'll find it. If you do it for American Express, Capital One, LVNV Funding, and Midland Credit, there's going to be pages and pages. Now, once you submit your dispute, if it is the first round, had to have a copy of your driver's license, social security card, utility bill that is not your cell phone bill, and a utility bill has to be within the past 60 days, you're going to submit this letter, mail it certified mail. Upon confirmed receipt of that letter, you're going to upload all of those documents directly into the credit bureau's website as you dispute it with the credit bureau as well. That way, your disputes will be acknowledged and you'll start the process sooner. You have to wait until they respond. Now, if they respond via email or written response, you then have to review that. And the majority of time, that is when they violate your consumer rights by just saying the account is verified, we know it's you, or they may not respond. And that is how you escalate to the next level, which we'll talk about. But you cannot submit a CFPB complaint until you have a recorded response directly from that credit bureau. And to make your dispute more effective, I say print out the sheet and where that item is being reported. If it's collection, tax lien, charge off, circle it and enclose that in your dispute letter. Now for 2026, there are no credit hack, handwritten letters do not work. And you cannot submit a CFPB complaint until the credit bureau responds. Now, when you dispute, remember, if it's an auto loan, you want to dispute any collection tied to an auto loan, repossession, or late payment with an auto loan, a prior auto loan. If it's a credit card, hard inquiries are going to be your focus if you're looking for a large limit premium credit card, because many of the banks like Chase, PenFed, Navy Fed, they want as few inquiries as possible before you apply. Typically, they all want 5 or less. So if you have 5 or more hard inquiries within the past 6 months and you're looking for a credit card, those need to be your focus. Also, if you have a charge-off or collection with a credit card, that definitely needs to be your focus if you're trying to get a high limit. For a home, you cannot have a collection or a charge-off reporting unless you get a special program from the government. I recommend you still have those removed: foreclosures, evictions, and any prior late payments tied to a mortgage. That has to be your focus, because for a home loan, prior debt and current debt is the main driver in which they're looking for, and it can easily get your loan denied and declined, denied at the application process, declined at the closing process if one of those items shows up. Hopefully, if you have any questions, leave a comment. Share this video, and understand I will respond to your comment in detail and give you all the information you probably didn't even want to know. Thank you for listening, following, and sharing. From Raul.